Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the Political Deep Dive. I'm Dave Valente. Tonight, we're talking about the U.S. Pirate Party. Before we get started with that, though, I wanted to talk to you about, especially those folks on YouTube. Yes. Just like, share, subscribe, click that bell on YouTube. We're trying to get at this point to 100 subscribers so that we can, you can change the name on the page that we do it. Right now, it's my personal YouTube page. If we can get to 100, then we can start, tailoring the page to how we need it to look for our show. Then we want to move on to 1,000 subscribers so we can start monetizing to get better stuff for you guys. But really, just to advance our broadcast and advance our message and making this a bigger platform for people to want to come on. It's every little bit helps. So if you're out there on YouTube, just give us a like, share, subscribe. Click the bell for the notifications to let you know that when we're coming on. The second exciting thing that I wanted to show is this Thursday night. The Thursday Night Hockey Show is returning. This season is going to be a little bit different. I'm going solo this year. Travis Rednick, my normal partner, is unable to do it this season, so I'll be doing the latest in news on the NHL and any other type of hockey that's going on. We love talking hockey, so join us Thursday night at 7 p.m. for the Thursday Night Hockey Show. So, without any further ado, we are going to get pirated up with. Oh, let me adjust that, make it equal here. There we go. All right, Drew.
All right.
Drew Bingaman with the Pirate Party. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right.
And also joining us, our co-host, Adrian Campbell. How you doing?
Hi. How is everybody?
Doing good. And finally, last but certainly not least, or maybe a little least, Dan, the man Fishman.
I made myself smaller so I could be the least.
He is wee little Dan today.
What's shaking, guys?
Not much, man. There he is.
Oh, I got
on equal footing.
This thing, though. What is that? All right. Sorry. Oh, it's covered by my name tag. You can't see it anyway. Hey, Drew. Hey, AJ. What's up, Valente?
Hi.
Not much. So let's start talking Pirate Party politics. Drew, actually, before we start talking about Pirate Party, tell us about yourself. Tell us how you got into politics and all your fun stuff.
Okay, so I've always been political, like pretty much as long as I can remember, way back into being a teenager. I've always been very into politics. 2013, 2012, I decided that instead of just being one of those idiots on Facebook, or was I even on Facebook? Well, it doesn't matter. Instead of being one of those idiots on the internet that's always yapping about things need to change, that I should probably get active and actually do something. So at that point, I was looking into where I can put my activities, and I went to the Libertarian Party, and I founded my local county party, and we eventually grew and did that for a while. I was the 2-time chair of the Pennsylvania Libertarian Party. And then I just, anybody that's a libertarian knows about our little invasion that we had. And that was just not for me. I was just not, I had enough people fighting, and I was done with that, and I thought, and it just didn't look like the Libertarian Party was going in the right direction for me. So I found the Pirate Party. I found that they kind of really matched up with my values, and and then I now have founded with a few others the Pennsylvania Pirate Party, and we are now a fully recognized USPP affiliate, and I am on the PNC now, and so things are happening
as a pirate.
What's that?
As a pirate, you're sailing the PNC.
I am. I'm sailing. Yeah. So. Yeah. So it's going pretty well. We've got a lot of all of our, at least in Pennsylvania, we've got everything pretty much hashed out to be a good. We've got bylaws. We've got what I personally consider an outstanding platform that if anybody wants to go check that out, we're at papirates.org and everything's on that. Everything's on there. So we have all of our social links there. We have you can go to /platform to see the platform directly. Or if you go to if you scroll all the way to the bottom, there's some links there that if you're looking for some info on what really is the Pirate Party and what the Pirate Party is about outside of the platform, there's a trifold link download at the bottom of that page. So that's about as concise as I can make it. So yeah, I mean, I'm a pirate now.
Nice. So, I mean, I know you told us to check out the platform, but in broad strokes, what does the Pirate Party stand for?
So mostly we have eight core values, and I do not have them all memorized right now, but I do absolutely 100% agree with all of them. That is something that I should probably have pulled up, but I don't. We are basically at first. We are for all of your information freedoms, which, in my opinion, information technology and information freedom we have is the main issue with the Pirate Party. It's one of the places that I think is probably one of those areas that we are at a tipping point. We could go one way or another with information freedoms. There's a lot of pressure on both sides. So from there, we move on to some other issues where we're mostly, I would say, we are a libertarian left-leaning party. As it's probably the best description I can give you, without getting into some specifics.
Yeah, I mean, I could agree with that. I know another the big ideas is patent reform, patent
Yep.
IP
IP.
stuff.
Yep.
You know, that type of stuff where we really definitely need reform. I mean, that to me, I think a lot of the patent reforms, IP reforms need to happen because we're just stifling innovation. We're stifling.
Absolutely.
Medical patents are murder also.
Yes, especially medical patents. Yeah.
100%. There are some. I've shared some really bad examples, and when I say bad examples, I mean some really egregious examples of patent and the IP issues that have really shut down people. It's stupid. And when somebody can just buy a patent or and sit on something, they're not doing anything productive. Patents are not productive. And if you can just sue people into paying you royalties for something that isn't productive, I don't see any good coming out of that at all.
I mean, look at things like insulin and things like that, where they just change a little tiny formula on the insulin, and they renew their patent into perpetuity almost.
The process you're talking about is called evergreening.
Yeah.
Evergreening is when a medicine, because pharmaceuticals can get a 14-year patent. However, if they introduce an innovation, a change to a pharmaceutical, they can then get an extension another 14 years. The problem is that for most pharmaceutical companies, even if they have an improvement in their drug after year 1, they will delay releasing that until year 13 so they can get another 14 years out of it. So we're actually suffering not getting a good medication because of the patent system, the way that it's set up. One of the arguments I would make that makes the most sense is that there is no patent enforcement without the state. There is no patent enforcement without violence. Okay. If I see you doing something, I ought to be able to use it. Now, somebody has made a suggestion that if pharmaceutical companies wanted to, they could put into their contracts when they sell you their drugs that you wouldn't reverse engineer them, and then you would have a contract dispute. But I'd make the argument that if my life were at stake and I needed to reverse engineer a drug, there is no rationale as to why I shouldn't be allowed to do that to save my own life or to save somebody else's life. But I also think that most IP people will draw a difference between copyright and patent. Copyright, the idea, even though I'm probably as anti-IP as you should get, don't believe me when I say I actually released the White Album. It was the Beatles. Even though I release it, I sell copies of it. It's just a blank sheet of paper and has a bunch of songs on it that I recorded. I still think that should be illegal. But patents, no, that's terrible.
So here's some more. So patents in general, I think need to be completely abolished. I don't think there is anything good that comes out of patents. When it comes to copyright, I'm maybe not a fully vetted pirate quite yet. I think there should be a place where content creators should be able to make money off of their original content. Although 90 years plus after the death of the creator is way too long for copyright.
Yep.
I think the other thing too that needs to be in copyright is I think fair use needs to be expanded. The definition of fair use, what I can do with a copyright. If I take a copyrighted piece of material and I chop it up and I make a new piece of art with it, that's a new piece of art.
I agree with that, with the one exception of Vanilla Ice. Vanilla Ice should not be allowed to sample other people.
Yeah.
But other than that,
well, I mean, it was sort of an infamous case, but there's that one little dun 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 dun,
yep.
Right? That's what he said, right? I do think there, and on top of that, there should, when I consider fair use, I consider being able to make myself personal copies of anything for my own use, right?
Absolutely.
Like if I buy an album on vinyl, I should be able to transfer that to digital or to tape or to whatever the hell I want for my own use. I'm not commercially reselling that product I think the only real issue to me with copyright is somebody commercially reselling that, like, with the Chinese, the Chinese bootlegs. Anybody making bootlegs of something, probably that's in my estimation, that's a violation of somebody else's copyright. They're making money. You're making money just making a digital copy or an analog copy of somebody else's work. And the same thing goes with art, with actual physical artwork or artwork in general. If you're just making a copy of it, not for your own use, but to sell it commercially, that's where I can see a violation of copyright.
I'm telling you, man, Lars Ulrich is going to kick in your door by saying
I honestly, I will tell you honestly, I was a huge Metallica fan until that happened.
Yeah, me too.
When he came out, it's just not the same anymore.
I agree with you 100%. I'm thinking that we were separated at birth, Drew. My feeling is exactly the same. I think the other thing about those, I support copyright in that you should not be able to fraudulently represent somebody else's work as your own.
Right.
But that's fraud. I think we don't need to call that IP.
Yeah. Nope. Agreed on that. I think that is fraud. And that would be covered under a different thing.
Now, one of the areas where I've noticed on your platform that I guess could be construed more as people before politics. That's my work computer, by the way. But it's more corporations before corporations. So that, I know some people would consider that more left leaning, but I think when you get to the idea of libertarianism, it really is people before any large entity.
Absolutely. I think it's, well, I mean, my philosophy personally is really, it's individuals and people and the people over the interests of corporations and big government. I think that especially, I mean, I can tell you one of the things in our platform that was really my thing was we have what's called a corporate death penalty. We don't phrase it like that, but basically, if a corporation shows a disregard to its people internally, or its customers, or a general danger to the public, that company can be completely liquidated. And to me, that is to create an incentive to not be evil, or stupid, or act
Negligence here.
negligence, to put profits in front of safety, or in front of the environment, things like that. Because you can't put a corporation in jail, right? And if the corporation wants to continue to exist, to do business and make money, then in my estimation, they need to be a good corporate citizen. And the way to do that is to, take care of the environment, your people, your customers, and everything like that. And I think it's a real disincentive to go down the crooked route if the end result is your stock price goes to zero and everybody loses all of the money that they're invested in, and all of the management gets completely thrown out on their ear. So,
it's an interesting thing, because I think here, this is a place, and there certainly is, I'm the only real libertarian. And so, I personally, I believe that libertarianism requires a complete opposition to corporations, because a corporation doesn't exist without a government. Otherwise, you just have a private partnership. The right thing that happens is what you said. When there are bad actors, you should be able to sue the officers of the company, and they should be personally liable and potentially go to jail, instead of being indemnified by the government, which is what happens now, right? BP drops more oil into the Gulf of Mexico than the state of New Jersey burns in 1 year, and all they get is a slap on the wrist.
Yeah. So where I came up with this idea was as I was watching the Netflix documentary on 3 Mile Island, which it started like right after I was born, and only 55 miles away from me. So, it hits very close to home. As I watched that documentary, I saw there's like 3 or 4 corporations in a row that were grossly negligent in that, over the 5 or 6 years that the whole thing kind of played out over. And it was one after another, and not just to the point of being grossly negligent for profit's sake, but then there's issues with people covering up, some people getting threats, and it was just it was one after another bad corporation. And I look at it and I go, there's a lot of, if that was a person that did that, they'd be in jail for a very long time.
Yeah.
And really nothing really ever happened to any of those corporations. They kept, chugging along.
And then, the other thing that comes with that is that then the companies that are actually doing the right thing, they're actually playing by the rules, then get heaped on with a ton of new regulations because there was a bad actor that they don't want to take individual, responsibility with, and they make the entire industry suffer
Mm-hmm.
due to the negligence of one company.
And
I call it killing mosquitoes with nuclear weapons.
Right. And the problem is that those regulations now actually become a license to be a bad actor. Okay. The government indemnifies corporations and businesses and people by saying, oh, we've got this regulation that prevents you from doing it. But in return for this regulation, we protect you from, actually losing all the money that we want you to give us in the next election cycle.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the Pirate Party is really interesting in that it's like the Green Party in that it's one of the two political parties in the United States that really have kind of an international founding
Mhm.
before their U.S. founding. So
Right.
tell me a little bit about the kind of the founding of the Pirate Party and its international roots.
So that would be Rick Falkfinch, who, or I probably said that. I probably said his name wrong. He kind of came up with the Pirate Party. A lot of it really did come out of a lot of the anti-IP uh, wave in and around 2006. Anyways, yes. And he formed I think it was in Sweden.
It was in Sweden.
Yeah,
Sweden.
Sweden.
I think it was in Sweden. And they hit very rapidly. They grew rapidly. Mostly a lot of with Rick's ideas with Swarmwise and really they had a movement before they had a political party. So they had a lot of people together that were like-minded and ready to tear some shit up, so to speak. And they did make some inroads into parliaments across Europe because they very rapidly spread across Europe. And then there was the USPP was founded not too long after that. But yeah, it's definitely European in heart. And I think there's a couple
bunch
of
of countries.
people in it's so many countries. There's a bunch of countries. We're all over the world now. There is an international group that the USPP is part of. So it is.
And you guys joined the international group recently, right?
Yes, we put we were accepted after we put our application in very recently. It was maybe about 2 months ago or so, maybe 3 months ago.
Excellent. I know you have members of parliament in Iceland. I know that
I think there's an EU guy too.
yeah, there's a couple of members of the European Parliament. There
was a Czech.
Right?
There was a
Yeah.
Czech in the Czech Republic.
Yeah, vice prime minister or something like that.
Yeah, there have been and are quite a few actual nationally members of parliament and things that are pirates.
And in my former home state of Massachusetts, a Pirate Party member was elected in Arlington to town meeting, which is a peculiar Massachusetts form of government.
Yeah, actually, Pennsylvania has an elected pirate that predates my version of the Pennsylvania Pirate Party. I think gentleman down in the Philadelphia area. He kind of just wants to do his own thing, but that's cool with me. And since I've joined, I'm an elected official, so we'll be looking next year. I'll be looking next year to actually be elected as a pirate. So we have that to look forward to.
Let's talk hats. No, I'm just kidding.
Hats. Yeah.
Well,
Right, what?
You have hats.
Skull and crossbones. I mean, one of the interesting things about the name Pirate Party is that it probably engenders a lot of interesting questions. So how do you answer the obvious ones? You sum up, are you guys really pirates?
Absolutely, we're pirates. I love to play up the pirate aspect. I mean, I think it's fun. We call our chairman are captains. We have quartermasters instead of our vice chairs. We do play up the hierarchy type of thing quite a bit. And we do kind of model. I mean, we are sort of modeled a little bit after that. Those historical pirates that really, they were very democratic. I mean, once you got out on the sea, there's certain things that, you could still throw a captain out on his ear if you wanted to. There were not that many mutinies. Mostly they were just democratically throwing people out if they were terrible. So, yeah, the more I learn about historical pirates, the more I embrace the identity.
Bad pirates don't last too long at sea.
No.
And they vote to decide how the booty gets split up.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Absolutely. Yep. There's always, everybody gets a share. The captain, depending on it, if he's the boat owner, gets maybe an extra one. And then if somebody is a financier, they also get a share. You know, it depends.
And one of the things that I like too is that the share is actually determined before before they decide to split it up. So it doesn't have too much to do with the number of people. The captain doesn't get rewarded for leading his crew on a suicide mission. So
Right.
then when they split up the booty, it's just
Yeah.
him and the quartermaster left over.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. The historical pirates were also very, very early in taking care of injured men, you know, making sure that they got their share when people were, you know, they're very, very egalitarian and taking care of people. And you know, it wasn't that long ago that it was Talk Like a Pirate Day, and I posted on our page that honestly, just talk like you normally talk. That you're talking like a pirate, because there was, you know, there's pirates of every color, every sexual identity, and every, you know, and every language, pretty much. And you know, because you had so many different people that ended up becoming pirates. So you can't just, there is no one Talk Like a Pirate. It's just speak your native tongue.
And you know, there's an interesting thing. I'm blanking the name of it. The idea that America is important is different because it had a Western frontier. The frontier theory. So there's this theory called the frontier theory that says America is a different country because if you didn't like the way things were going in our country, you could just move 50 miles to the west, and now you weren't in the country anymore. And so other places didn't have that option. Traditional pirates had that thing too, is that if you didn't fit into society, you could join a pirating charter and be accepted.
Right. And there were plenty of places, especially in the Caribbean, that were basically pirate havens. They were more or less pirate states. They, you know, the anarcho pirates were a thing. I mean, they never called them that, but yeah, they were very much and they, you know, there's a lot of debate over whether Libertalia ever existed in Madagascar or not, but I think some form of that actually did. That's the problem with pirates too, is not, you know, not everybody was literate, so they didn't always write everything down. But I think there was a real effort to make a pirate sort of utopia in Madagascar at one point. It didn't last for long, as very few of the pirate states or pirate havens ever did last very long.
I think
and that's mostly because of other government navies, mostly.
That's exactly where I was going to go, is that whenever pirates start to become successful at independent living, the state rises up to say, no, we can't have that. We can't have people living their own lives, running their own, making their own decisions.
Yeah.
When in reality, the states were the biggest pirates of all.
Absolutely.
Still are. So talk about the Pennsylvania Pirate Party now. In Pennsylvania, we know that there's a unique set of rules around running elections that will allow the Pennsylvania Pirate Party to have quite a few people put on the ballot to run for these offices. Are you going to use the Moulton Maneuver, as it's been called?
So, I mean, I appreciate the Moulton Maneuver. As of right now, I am not planning on making a 2023 version, and quote unquote pirating the idea just yet. I have it in my back pocket. I actually did talk about it at the USPP national conference that we had online a little while back. Just to get the idea out there. that this is something that can be done. First of all, what we really need are people that are willing to run, or we need some more people to really expand the Pennsylvania Pirate Party. We're still relatively small. We are gaining in volunteers, but you know, the Libertarian Party's what, 50 years old now, 51.
51.
So yeah, it's gonna, I don't expect overnight success, but at the same time, depending on what offices we're running for, I think we can have success. And I think, part of that is if nobody else is running, I'm running next year because I need to run for re-election for my constable spot. And I don't think that's going to be much of an issue. There's a lot of local things up next year. And if anybody is interested in becoming a candidate, there is also a tab on our website to become a candidate. So yeah, there's a join page. We're not collecting dues at this time. So if you just want to, click on the join page on our website, you're just giving me your contact info so I can make sure when things are happening and when our meetings are going to be happening. We're generally meeting every 2 weeks on Tuesday, right now, Tuesday evenings. That can change with a vote. But yeah, we're meeting regularly. We're getting some things done. We've got our platform out there. So yeah, if you dig it and you're interested in getting involved in pirate politics or in Pennsylvania, give me a holler. If you're interested in getting involved in pirate politics anywhere else or starting another state chapter, you can give me a holler, and I can make sure you get directed to the right people. So,
Speaking of platform, I just want to show this briefly. This is one thing I will always love the Pirate Party for, because the day of our national convention, my former party's national convention, decided to get rid of the bigotry plank.
oh yeah,
Oh, where is it? Oh, I gotta put it on the screen here. There we go. We proudly condemn bigotry as irrational and repugnant. And I really appreciate that. I'm glad a party has decided to pick up that flag and
Yeah.
wave it around.
we did that as a response to just say that, if it wasn't clear, now it is. So
I have to mention that my group, People for Liberty, is getting ready to sell a T-shirt that says "Bigotry is blank," and then you can fill it in however you wish with your own permanent marker.
well, if you're the chair of the National Libertarian Party, it says, it would say "Welcome in this party."
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It would, or it would say "undefinable."
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So talk about some of the national folks that are running for office this year. You've mentioned that there is one person running
Yeah,
a federal race.
we have a gentleman named Ethan Osborne. He's running for Kentucky House of Representatives, not the Kentucky House of Representatives. He's running in Kentucky for the U.S. House of Representatives. Their website is kypp.org. That's Kentucky Pirates. Pirateparty.org is what that stands for. kypp.org. That'll take you to Ethan's stuff. So if you're in Kentucky, Ethan is running for a House seat in the 4th district. So, yeah, he's a hardworking dude. He's a firefighter and was out west fighting some of the wildfires. And I hope he makes it home okay. So, but yeah, that's as far as I know, as far as I am aware, he is our only federal candidate this year. And that we are looking to get a lot more candidates going next year in local and federal elections. Well, no federal elections, I don't think, next year, unless there's a special election, but local and state elections next year. So
Yeah, there's governor's races in New Jersey and Virginia, I think. But anyway, so that is the interesting thing about the Pirate Party, is that it really has not focused on federal candidates or running, or even thinking about running a presidential candidate in 24. It's really about building local grassroots parties, right?
Well, that's what I'm focused on, anyways. I'm focused in that capacity because I think we need to grow. I think we need to I think we need to build a farm team, which was always what we were looking to do when I was part of the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania, was to build people that have experience in elections, whether they win or lose. They've run campaigns, and that gives you a ton of, not only does it give you exposure, because once you get on the ballot, you get some earned media then. And by running again, you get, you learn lessons by running a campaign. And I think building the farm team is the best way to go. I certainly have no we don't have huge donors, so we don't have people throwing money at us saying run big candidates, right? So we definitely don't have that's not something that I even see as reasonable or feasible to try and shoot for those higher levels of office that really take a good amount of money to build. And it's better for me, from my perspective, to build from the ground up and build a connection with our people that are our supporters. So
Yeah, and that's, I mean, to me, that is the best way to build a political party. I think if and I understand the reasons why running national and federal candidates is a help, but I think and it's kind of thrust upon third parties because to get ballot access, a lot of times you have to run people in those big races just to get the ballot access. Um, but to be able to grow a party to actually be an electoral force, I think it is that, let's get people elected at the local level. Let them see our policies and our things are effective at the local level. Then they're going to give us the trust to do it at the state level. And then at the state level, they're going to give us a chance to do it at the statewide level and then the federal level. So it's
Well,
the natural way of building a party.
and we also have to overcome that first knee-jerk reaction of, you're the pirate party? Are you serious? Are you seriously the pirate party? Yeah, we are. And we are serious. And being able to prove through having people elected that, yeah, we have fun with the name and we have fun with the theme, the nautical themes and everything. But if we get if we can show that, yeah, we're not crazy. Like that's the thing. People think, oh, pirate party, I can't get over that. Couldn't tell you how many when I was really pushing pretty hard for recruiting that people tell me, I can't get over that. I can't get over that name. I'm like, why? I can tell you exactly why we're the pirate party. I can tell you on multiple levels why we're the pirate party. Not only are we the, we're the pirate, the 21st century pirate party, but we're also in line with the good side of everything that was awesome about classic pirates. So, if you can't get over a name like that, I think you're just closing yourself off to people and things that can be really good.
Well, and people should think about, what do the other party names mean? What does green mean? Right? It's a color. It doesn't mean anything in particular. Republican and Democrat don't mean anything, right? I mean, the idea that we have a republic or a democracy is laughable.
Yeah. Well, they've lost all meaning anyways, just from the fact that they've basically glued themselves together.
Yeah.
Or to each other, I should say.
Exactly.
And I think that the way that I would attack that is that you're having an issue with our name, but understand what we stand for, and then look at what the other parties, the main parties, have given you.
Right.
And if you're having a problem with pirates still, then I can't help you.
Right. Yeah. No.
You're allowing a
exactly.
name to keep you from checking something out. You're probably not looking for anything different. You're probably
Right.
happy right where you're at if you're
Right.
allowing a name to stop you.
Well, and the thing about it is, let's not make it all fresh, amnesty, et cetera. There are certainly issues that I think a lot of libertarians would have with, like, for example, the Pirate Party position on student loan forgiveness, which is yes.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, I have a big problem with with the people that were screaming and crying about a $10,000 loan forgiveness when many of those people got hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in PPP loans forgiven.
Absolutely.
I think that's just a completely hypocritical thought process, and despite people jumping through hoops to try and justify that it's not the same thing, to me it's the same thing, and you're not going to convince me otherwise. So
I actually would argue student loans is a worse and a more predatory function.
Yes.
Their student loans are terrible. The method by which it's done, I just don't think that for me, the solution to them is not more government.
it's not. So the way it's being done, obviously, with no other reforms, is not great, right? It's not the answer.
Yeah.
But it is something that is going to help a lot of regular people. I mean, this is again what we were talking about earlier was corporations, people over corporations, and it's sort of the same sort of thing that I look at back to 2008 when there were huge bailouts of banks.
Yep.
But none of those homeowners got bailed out.
Yep.
From those predatory stupid loans. If they would have bailed out the homeowners, the banks still get the money. Like,
are any of you guys old enough to remember the Chrysler bailout in the 80s?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Arlo Guthrie has a wonderful song called "I'm going to change my name to Chrysler. I'm going to go right down to Washington, D.C. and everything the government did for Chrysler, I'm going to let the government do for me."
Yeah.
It's a wonderful piece of parody. Yeah, it is. There's no question about it. The system is completely two-faced, and they're happy to give money to and forgive debts and all this other ridiculous stuff for the politically favored. The thing is, Des, you and me, we're like soulmates. I'm looking forward to having a longer chat together at some point.
I love Des. She's the best.
Yeah.
She
Yeah, she
is the best. I agree. I'll just pitch the Fishman plan again on student loans, which is you should be able to default on any debt. You should be able to declare bankruptcy no matter what. And if you fix that, that fixes everything. And then the other thing is that instead of the government giving out or guaranteeing student loans, colleges should give out the student loans, because then it becomes a money-making opportunity. So
it does, and it puts skin in the game for them.
Exactly. Yes. So my people know money lending is supposed to have risk. Can I say that on the air?
Yeah, right. I mean, that's kind of a foreign concept nowadays.
Right, exactly. But that's the point, is that if colleges looked at students as investment possibilities, if I educate this person, how much money will they be able to pay me back? Then they'd be a lot more selective, but they'd also be thrilled to say, you know what? We got the next freaking Bill Gates on the line. We want to totally get that guy in here, et cetera, et cetera.
So the other thing that a lot of people don't understand is that back in like the 1940s and 50s, colleges, in-state colleges that are part of the state system, charged almost nothing for tuition for in-state students.
Not even then. So my first undergrad is from the University of Texas at Austin. When I went there in 1986, it was $500 a semester for unlimited credits.
So there you go. I mean, isn't that also, that's also part of the problem? Like that, those loans, that money that was flooding in, that was guaranteed from the federal government, how does it cost so much? And how do you have billions of dollars in your what are those funds that they have? The endowments, that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me, because my brain shut off there for a second. These colleges have billion-dollar endowments, and as far as I'm concerned, the colleges themselves absolutely need more skin in the game.
Those colleges have billion-dollar endowments. They've got 5 former football coaches that are paying over $1 million to that they fired recently. I mean,
Yeah.
the entire system is just perverse.
It is interesting, though, that the very best academic institutions that have enormous endowments don't charge tuition anymore, right? If you want to go to Harvard, which depending on what the price of oil is, either Harvard or the University of Texas has the largest endowment. I think right now it's Harvard, but Harvard doesn't charge tuition if your family makes under $400,000 a year, because they don't need it. And they know
Right.
if you graduate with a Harvard degree, you're going to feel so indebted to the school because it changed your life that you're happily going to give them much more than they would have charged you over your lifetime, or at least many people will. And some few people are going to come through and give millions and millions of dollars.
I will tell you that they should have given Osama bin Laden an honorary degree from my college, because that alumni department would have found him a lot sooner.
That's pretty
Holy cow.
funny.
All right. Any other stuff you want to talk about with the Pirate Party? Tell us how people can get involved in the Pirate Party. So I think one of the really cool things about the Pirate Party is that it is very open, very transparent. I want to say it's open source politics.
Well, it's open source as far as I'm concerned, because if anybody wants to steal our platform or our bylaws, go ahead. Whatever. Actually, I think we have a statement on our website that says there be no copyright here. But basically, if you want to get involved with the PA Pirates, again, it's just papirates.org. We have a join link. We have a candidate link. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, there are several links there. There's some little round social media links that will get you to all our social media connections. Is also one of those links takes you to the Discord for the U.S. Pirates. And you can get there's a lot of conversation going on in the Discord for the U.S. Pirates. And Pennsylvania has a little section in there too. So basically that's the best way to get involved, is get on the Discord and start talking to people, or get on with us and just send me a join, and I will put you in the loop, and we can go from there.
Yeah, that is really cool that you can actually get into the Discord and see what's going on with the platform committee, and actually sit there and wordsmith a platform plank that you would like to see considered by the Pirate Party. And who knows, it may get passed, or after collaboration with several members of the Pirate Party, it gets passed and added to the platform. So I think it's a really cool way of doing things that makes it a lot more egalitarian than any other political party.
Oh, and just one other note. The Pennsylvania Pirate Party is operating on consensus. We are not using Robert's Rules of Order. Just in case anybody really, is the Robert's Rules nerds that hates Robert's Rules. We decided early on that we were not going to use Robert's Rules, and that we are going to try to do a little bit of a consensus thing. So that'll be interesting as we get a lot more people involved, how that works out. But I think we can still operate. So I'm confident that we'll find a way.
Excellent. So are y'all ready for the news?
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Sure.
Are you ready for the news quiz? Hold on a second. Where is it at? There we go.
Okay. We do have a bunch of topics too, so I want us to keep up the pace.
All right. Keep up the pace.
Yep.
I'll be a stern taskmaster tonight. All right.
Yes.
5 things news quiz for the past week. Question number 1. NASA deliberately slammed a spacecraft into an asteroid this week to determine how to deflect space objects posing a threat to Earth. What was the name of the mission? repel, deter, dart, or jolt?
I will say that if you replace the first letter of the mission with F, it becomes a lot funnier.
Exactly. Yes, it was the dart mission. Did you guys watch
Yep.
watch that live?
I did watch a little bit of it.
I missed it, but I
about it.
I missed it, but I gotta say, if they're openly sending a something to smash into an asteroid or whatever, what is it? Is it
It was an
com-
asteroid.
It was an
an
asteroid,
asteroid? Yeah, I want to know what they're really afraid of.
The there's a comedian named Nikki Glazer who she said, if they can send one man to the moon, why not all of them? Which I thought was pretty funny.
Don't give them ideas, Dan.
Yeah, let's not.
But this picture is really cool because it was showing like a frame a second as it was heading towards this thing, and I think it went 4 miles in a second or something. I mean, just
4 miles a second is
astronomical.
correct.
Yeah, as it hit the surface, but it got such really good high detail pictures of right before it just slammed into this thing.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't heard if it's really changed the trajectory of this yet, but
They won't know for 2 months.
my thinking is that it's changed. So the reason why they took this is that there are two meteors, or asteroids, one larger and this smaller one, and they wanted to change the direction of the smaller one because it's orbiting the larger one. It's like a moonlet, and my guess is that at some point it's going to drag the orbit into the point where it's going to collide with this massive asteroid that's much bigger and just knock it towards us like a
Right.
revenge or something.
Right. I will say that, that video of the footage of it getting closer and closer made it clear that you could indeed come around behind and land on it and drill a hole through the middle and put an atomic bomb in it, and that would work.
Yeah, but you don't want like 300
We saw
million
the
pieces
movie.
of rock falling on us.
Do you hear the Aerosmith? I hear the Aerosmith. We're going to be fine.
I could stay awake. Sorry.
There you go.
Question number 2. Approximately how many customers in Florida were without power Thursday due to Hurricane Ian? 200,000, 500,000, 1.2 million, or 2.5 million?
I'm going to have to, first of all, raise a font objection and say that's Hurricane Land.
Hurricane Land. No, it's not a local area network.
I think it's 2.5 million.
I would concur. I'd go with 2.5. It's got to be a lot.
Yeah. Correct. 2.5 million residents and businesses were without power in Florida on Thursday. Ian's going to be a life-changing event. They're a very powerful catastrophic storm that is going to do significant damage, said the CEO of Florida Power Light.
The thing that, so I grew up in Galveston, Texas, which, to this day had the worst one-day death toll from a disaster in the United States. Bigger than 9/11, bigger than Mount St. Helens, anything like that. Over 6,000 people died. But they taught us, the big thing about hurricanes that people don't understand. Okay, when they say 14-foot storm surge, that means the ocean is going to rise up 14 feet and stay like that for at least several hours. And so you need to think about yourself and say, oh, if my roof is only 10 feet high, then I've got a problem with a 14-foot storm surge. And one of the things that they used to tell us as kids growing up in Galveston is if you're going to stay and you go up into the attic, you always have to bring an axe with you because the water rises high enough, you might have to chop your way out through the roof. And then the thing that really brought it home was right before Ike came, which put 6 feet of water in Galveston and really changed the city for forever. The mayor said, would everybody please, who's staying behind, write your social security number on your arm with a Sharpie so that it'll make it easier for us to identify your bodies afterwards. You shouldn't stay in the path of a giant storm. It's just foolish.
Yeah, exactly.
That gave me goosebumps.
Yeah. All right. Question number 3. Many Americans likely will shell out more money to keep their homes warm this winter due to what? Heat waves, more people working from home, understaffed utility companies, or outdated utility equipment.
I mean,
Inflation?
exactly. Where the hell is inflation in this scale? I feel like already we're
This
part
is
of the
just-
problem by I shouldn't call it that, but we are
That's a bad. You just used a bad phrase. Strike on Dan.
Well, so actually I have a question to come back with everybody after this, but
Uh-oh.
yeah, you're right. We're helping to mislead people because inflation is a huge part of it. People don't believe the government that says there's no inflation, but it's got to be more people working from home, right?
I'm gonna
Sounds
say
reasonable.
You think
I wouldn't
outdated
be-
utility equipment?
Yeah, outdated utility equipment probably has some impact, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's more people working
Well-
from home. But we've been dealing with that for 2 years, though.
But I mean, outdated utility equipment has been outdated for forever. AJ, what do you think?
Well, we've always got to blame the people, so it's definitely the happy people working from home.
And let me ask you guys this: is this when I was a Massachusetts person, we were pretty sensitive about when you would allow the heat to be turned on. Have you guys had the heat turned on in your house yet?
No,
Trying
No.
not to.
Yeah.
no. I
We,
mean, I'm hot blooded enough that it's probably. I mean, and I'm kind of the mind that put on another article of clothing.
I think I
We
just
have
closed the.
blankets, we have socks, we have sweaters. We are so spoiled.
yeah, exactly. I agree. All right.
We
Well, I
actually
think,
did look at our electricity bill, and we use less. Like, go us, but we're paying higher.
all
Heat
right.
wave.
Wait,
I'm
heat wave.
lost on this one. I am lost on this. Energy prices
Heat
are on the
waves
rise
this
in part
summer.
because heat waves this summer forced utilities to draw down their natural gas reserves. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Compounding the strain on the inventory levels that were already well below historical averages. So they're having to go out on the market in a very crunched natural gas
Wow.
market. But
Hmm.
interesting.
I
It is
blame
interesting.
corporations.
Maybe we should stop selling American natural gas overseas instead of sell it on the market.
Yeah. Question number 4. Georgia Maloney claimed victory this week to become which country's new prime minister?
That was definitely Italy.
That
And I'm
was
pretty
Italy.
sure she's a
Was.
nationalist.
She is a
She
nationalist.
is.
She is a
Yeah.
nationalist.
Grazie
45
Italia.
This
Grazie
is
Italia.
not good. You know, with nationalists in Italy and what's going on with Russia. Man, that's freaking scary. We
It's
need
not just
somebody crazy to show up in Germany.
well, not just Italy and Russia, but Sweden just nominated a party that's had its roots founded in neo-Nazism and Euroscepticism and all that stuff. So,
All right, I got a major speech here.
All right.
The problem with this is that every time somebody wins in politics, they want to plant a friggin' victory flag and make everybody else bow down to it. That's not what should be happening. Democrats need to realize they caused Trump. Okay. They caused Trump by making it so that reasonable Republicans were just as ostracized as far right Republicans. And they built this army, and Republicans have to realize the same thing. Okay. They created AOC, they created the far left that hasn't been able to take control of the party yet, but is about to happen. We are creating extremes by not being tolerant of the middle.
Doesn't that sound familiar to you guys?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep. Bastards.
Yeah.
All right.
Rihanna, I got this one. It's Rihanna.
All right. So I'll read the question.
I had no idea.
Well, yeah, this is Rihanna. So, which pop star will perform the next year's Super Bowl, whatever that 57 halftime show?
Yep.
Adele, Drake, Rihanna, or Justin Bieber? It is Rihanna. And
Don't ask me to tell you any of her songs, but
No,
I just
you
know
know
who it was.
Umbrella.
I mean, I might know them if I hear them, but I couldn't tell you the names of them.
Right.
Yeah. Question number 6. Which airline was named the world's best for 2022? Singapore, Air France, Qatar, or American Airlines?
It's interesting because I look behind there and I see an airplane, and so it's something there doesn't look like American to me.
Mm-mm.
I think it's Singapore.
I don't know. See, Des, you and me, we're simpatico musically. You think it's Singapore? Singapore, I think, has won it many times in the past. So I would agree with that.
Singapore has a red color scheme. It's not
Looks
quite
red.
that burgundy red like Qatar
And they have a
Airways.
swan, right?
What's that?
And I think they have a swan as their logo.
I believe so. Yeah.
All right, let's go with Singapore. I agree.
Oh,
Oh, it was
Qatar.
better.
Oh, see, they've got more of a burgundy red than
Yeah.
good based off their national flag, but wrong. Damn it. Question number 7: which currency recently plummeted to a record low against the U.S. dollar? The euro, Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, or British pound?
The pound is pretty. Is it a
It
record
is
low?
definitely
It is the pound.
I
Although
watch.
the euro's pretty low too, but the British pound. I'm going with the pound.
Yeah, I agree. There's a show I would recommend to everybody called "Have I Got News for You?" It's a British news talk show once a week. Always comes on YouTube like the day after it comes out, and it's great to see what people saying about us in a language that I can speak. Boy, they talked about the pound significantly.
All right, question number 8: which Major League Baseball team was invited to a celebration at the White House this week? The Yankees, the Red Sox, the Braves, or the Dodgers? I'm going to say the Braves because they won the World Series.
What? Last year?
Yeah, last year's World Series
Oh,
champion.
and they couldn't do it because of COVID.
I don't know why
Oh,
they haven't
maybe.
gone to the White House because Atlanta plays
The Nationals.
plays the Nationals pretty frequently, but I guess they waited till the last of the season.
No, this one I totally missed, and
I have no idea. I mean, no idea.
The only other thing I would say.
Janice agrees with me.
The only other thing I would
Janice
say
in
is
Atlanta.
the Yankees do have that slugger, but
Yeah, but they
that's
haven't been
not
in.
yet. Yeah.
Wow.
It's usually a lot earlier in the season, and for a team that actually plays in the same division as Washington, it doesn't
Yeah.
make sense that it was this late in the season.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean they get their trip to the White House.
Wow.
COVID-y stuff.
All right. Let's see. Question number 9: which new character did M&M's add to the brand lineup this week?
This was purple.
Pink,
Gotta be. I mean,
It's
gray, or
a.
see it.
She's a nut.
Yeah.
purple. All
Yeah.
right.
Yay, I'm so happy about this.
Yeah, I like pink. I like purple. So,
He's the color of royalty.
and question number 10: NBA star LeBron James has agreed to buy a team in which major sports league? Volleyball, pickleball, rugby, or lacrosse?
I don't know.
I
But
would
do
say
know that
rugby.
There are professional rugby and lacrosse leagues. I don't know why he would buy a rugby team.
Probably international one if he
More
is
money
buying
than
it.
sense.
Lacrosse. I mean, is there professional rugby here in the States?
Not in
I
the well. I
don't
mean,
know.
there is there. I mean, but there is a very.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like a
far
central
level
investor
professional.
league rather than a
Okay.
individual
All right.
Yeah.
team.
I mean, you could buy a team overseas for sure. I mean, you
Sure.
could go-
Yeah, like Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney
Yeah.
bought a soccer team.
Well, what's his name? The guy that was in Gladiator.
Malcolm Glazer.
Russell Crowe.
Russell.
He
Crowe.
bought he bought a like when he was a kid, he rooted for this Rabbitohs team down in Australia. He bought them. So that's the only reason why I'm saying rugby. It's the only sport that's got like enough to have like a larger
That it
international.
would be an investment.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
AJ
I
should
don't know.
decide. She's the big sports fan.
Yeah. AJ, your call.
I don't know what a couple of these are, but I know what rugby is because of friends. So I'm going to go with rugby.
All right, rugby.
Watch it be lacrosse.
Could be lacrosse. There is U.S. lacrosse.
There's a U.S. Professional Lacrosse League.
Oh, with pickleball.
Pickleball. Good
Pickleball.
Lord.
What's
I just
pickleball?
learned what pickleball was like earlier today.
Please tell me.
It's
That's
kind of
what
like
it is.
it's that. Yeah, it's kind of like tennis, but
The
smaller.
ball doesn't bounce. You play with like a wiffle ball and a small hard paddle.
Yep.
And the thing about it is you don't run very much, so it's good for senior citizens.
It's like
And it takes up less
large
space.
table tennis.
But
yeah,
the
or
thing
or
that-
mini tennis.
the thing that's bullshit
cross
about it,
between
you
the
can
two.
see a tennis net in the back. And so what people are doing is they're tearing up, I don't tear up, but they're decorating tennis courts.
Yeah, they're
with
converting
pickleball
tennis,
crap. Yeah.
regular tennis courts to it. That's interesting.
Because it
Y'all
looks
didn't
like you
answer
can
the
put
question
four.
at all, just so you know.
Because it looks like you can put four pickleball courts on
You
a
can put
tennis
4
court.
pickleball courts in a tennis court.
All right.
And this
well,
is
so
good for
there's your
elderly
scale.
folks.
And you can play it inside, so you can play it in any weather. I mean, there's a lot of things that are nice about it. My dad plays it's not pickleball, but a game called platform tennis, which is somewhat similar. And it is a great thing for seniors to do. And there's not a lot of
So-
running, stuff like that.
How many versions of tennis are? Jesus, y'all! Like,
Badminton.
what the fuck?
Yep.
How many different versions of this are there?
I mean, pickleball. I mean, it's surprisingly popular. Pickleball, platform tennis. What else is there? Lawn tennis.
Well, I mean, look at how many different versions of football there are. I mean, there's,
Yeah.
the international football. There's American football. There's Canadian football. There is Australian football. Which
rules football.
I love Australian rules football.
Sports
That
get
is one of my
weird.
favorites.
And don't forget the Canadian
Gaelic.
rules football is different than
Yep.
American football. Similar, but not.
There's Gaelic
Same.
football. There's all kinds of fun stuff.
Yep. All right. Crazy stuff. Well, 7 out of 10. That's not bad.
Not bad, not great. We'll blame Dan for this one.
Yeah. I'll take
It's
that.
a solid C.
This is a solid
Yeah.
C.
Oh,
In my high school years.
and now I know what pickleball isn't.
So let's talk about some recent issues of a party that most of us were members of for a while.
His name is
until
Tyler
recently.
Hobbs.
His
It's
name is
now-
Tyler Hobbs.
It's now Dot.
Oh.
It's a verified Dot now.
Oh.
So yeah,
sad.
the Libertarian Party's national Twitter feed, which ironically for a lot of for people who took over the Libertarian Party in May, their raison d'etre was the Libertarian Party's Twitter feed. Getting access to it. It was like the first thing that they wanted as soon as they took over.
Bold
was the Twitter
messaging.
feed. And at some point this week, it was taken over by people were saying that it's a bot that has somehow cracked it. And originally it was named Tyler Hobbs, who is a Bitcoin NFT guy. And some of the stuff that you see on here is kind of the stuff that he's involved in, the QQL investment platform.
Yep.
But apparently it's just a bot.
And I don't know.
We're all screwed because AI is just they're gonna come along and
yeah.
that's why I always say thank you to Google when I have her turn my lights on or off, though. So I'm hoping to be one of the ones that they keep as pets.
She will remember that.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah, I first of all, I do think it's very important to say we don't know what actually happened.
No.
We don't know that because there hasn't been any sort of investigation, or if there has, they certainly haven't talked about it publicly.
And they're
the
not
crazy
going to
thing
be.
about it is, I'm not a person who generally supports laws, but I do think if you are a national party, you should follow the laws. And so in this case, when there is a data breach and there's a possibility that somebody could be convinced into identity fraud because of a data breach that's happened to you, you're supposed to report it to, in the Virginia's case, because the Libertarian National Committee is a Virginia corporation, you are supposed to report it to the Attorney General. As far as I know, that hasn't happened. I would do it just because it's responsible, and then let them decide the severity of the break. But, I do understand some libertarians who say we're not going to follow the law. So that's fine. They don't want to follow the law. The thing is that when you, and I think people who know my background know that I'm not really an IT professional. I'm a computer scientist, but I worked with a lot of IT professionals, and I did start off as a Solaris and then Linux system administrator. So I've been around the block a couple times in terms of security. You have to assume the worst as soon as there's been a break. And so they should be assuming that people have access to the credit card records. When I was there, when I was executive director, we stopped the process of storing credit card records on our computers. Instead, we let third-party vendors do that. So when I was there, if you hacked the system, you would never get any credit card information. I can't say that that's true right now because I don't know what the current group is doing. However,
No one does.
no one does, and apparently not even themselves, because I've seen a whole variety
Exactly.
of different explanations from different people about what's happened. The one thing that's clear is that there should be an independent audit, and let the independent audit decide what's at risk and what's not. Asking people to audit themselves is, well, I mean, we know what happens when the
We've
government
investigated ourselves and we found nothing wrong.
Exactly. And that is unfortunately what is going to happen.
I just don't see.
Yeah.
I just don't see there any. I mean, these people just are completely the opposite of transparent. So they're not going to. We're never going to know what happened there. I also so in the concern of the credit card information, most websites, if your credit card information is stored in there, it shouldn't be completely visible, although they might be able to get some clues from what you can see. But still, if it's a credit card that is set up properly, then the liability on the credit card fraud should be relatively negligible. It shouldn't be an issue. So
If
don't
there
use
is
a debit card.
Yeah. If there is a breach, though, and there is found to be, monetary records or, any kind of personally identifiable information, the Libertarian Party could be on the hook for a lot of money for
Just
processing
the fines.
just the fines, but also a lot of regulations to say that they have to pay for at least a year of credit monitoring and things for people who are impacted. So it could be just a massive money drain for the party. I know why they're saying what they're saying. I just don't think it's on the level.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and that's why there should be an audit. And I mean, we'll see. I don't support getting the government involved, but I think that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Just because, A, it's a chance for the government to screw around with libertarians. B, it's the Republican government who really hates libertarians because it's Virginia, and the Virginia Attorney General is a Republican. And then the other thing about it is that there is, some idea of being a consumer watchdog here, in that because there is a possibility, and because the LNC has no idea what actually happened, they don't know where the vulnerability is. They say, oh, I mean, here's the thing that really chaps me the most is the people who are repeating this thing that we don't know. Oh, you know what? It was this NFT guy or anything like that. We don't know. The best thefts always come under the guise of a false flag, so that you think it's somebody else, or you think they were doing this. Oh, you know what? I was drunk. I thought this was my own house. I didn't mean to break into your house. Something like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a scary thought. Who could it actually be, and who's smart enough to hide themselves?
Well, so that, I mean, that false flag thing, that is a common thing in hacks. You pretend to be somebody else, and actually not just in hacks, but also in spycraft. One of the most famous examples is during World War II. There was a man named Reinhard Gehlen, and people who really want to read a good book about spycraft should read his book called Service. He was the spy master for the Germans, and one of the things that he did was he had spies pretending to be communists joining members of the Communist Party of America saying, hey, Russia needs this information and the American government isn't sharing it with us. So will you share this information with us? Because Russia needs to know how many tanks Britain is getting, how many tanks France is getting, so that Russia can ask for its fair share. And so in reality, these spies who are actually spying for the Germans were pretending to be Russians, and who could tell? And that's why Pollard, right, who was convicted of spying for the Israelis,
Yeah.
a lot of people, a lot of Jews were upset and saying, "Oh, why this guy get this massive sentence?" He has no way of knowing that he was actually spying for the Israelis, right? How can he determine that these spies are actually members of the Israeli government as opposed to Russians pretending to be Israelis? So that's why, in this case, you don't know who broke in. You don't know what they are. You can't assume anything until you've done all the due diligence. Until then, assume it's the Russians or whoever.
Until then, enjoy the memes.
The memes are
Yeah, the memes.
The memes are
fire.
gold.
The
Like
memes are
I'm
fire.
so
Yeah.
off of social media, and I came back specifically for this.
I mean, that is one. I mean, one of the great things about the Liberty space is that when something happens, the memes are gold. You got to follow and just enjoy the show. But let's see. Next story we'll talk about this one time at band camp.
There was a crystal crystal flute involved.
There was may have been a crystal flute involved. No, but Lizzo was at a Library of Congress event and was presented a crystal flute that was the prized possession of former President James Madison. It was one of actually two things that they took from the White House as it burned. One was a portrait of George Washington. The other was the crystal flute during the War of 1812 or 1840, whatever year that was. 1812. And she played it. I actually really have not even heard what she played. I heard it was nice, the few notes that she did play. Then she twerked.
It sounded
of
great.
Course, did it?
Yeah, the tone was phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a beautiful instrument. I mean, it was amazing. The picture that I saw of it, it was like, dang. But of course, predictably, conservative Twitterverse started making angry mayonnaise noises, and
who is really angry? Who is really angry about this? Are any real people? Because I'm starting to think that some of these talking heads, especially the right wing ones, like Ben Shapiro, especially Ben Shapiro. I fucking hate Ben Shapiro.
Matt Walsh was a big one too. Yeah,
he can walk off. He can take a long walk off a short pier. And one of these guys said it was like somebody shitting on the flag. Like what? What? How on earth? So she's a classically trained flautist, right?
Yep.
So what is the argument here? Why is it shitting on the flag? Because she did a little dance while she was doing her flourish at the end? I mean, what is wrong with you?
It's insane. I mean, I think it's, first of all, right, they don't like that she's black. Secondly, they don't like that she's a woman. Thirdly, they don't like that she's overweight. Yeah, exactly. Well, so
that's where it's killing me.
It's a great point, Des. And this whole idea of being upset about anything. Remember when Family Guy had to pull that episode because it had Muhammad in it?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
South Park pointed out that they'd had an episode earlier. Oh no, Family Guy, in order to point out that how ridiculous it was, they ran an episode that had George Bush shitting on the American flag while eating a bald eagle. And they said, so we can show this, but we can't show Muhammad.
Yeah.
How stupid is it? And so here we have this, it's exactly the same thing. These are people who, first of all,
they make their living on outrage. is what
Exactly.
they
Well,
do.
yeah, that's exactly it, because we've gotten into this whole era of outrage porn. Like and every day they have to look up to see what the latest outrage is, to blast it all over Twitter and blast it all over Facebook about, oh my God, they hate us white people. Or they hate the Americans, they hate this, just to outrage people and to get them to be, again, it's a whole divide and conquer type thing, that they just want us apart. They want us, if we're going to get together, it's to be at each other's throats. That's what this outrage porn has brought to us. And these are porn peddlers of just outrage. And just give me Pornhub. Give me regular porn.
Yeah,
That's
it's
at least fun. Like
I
this,
know.
it doesn't even make, and nobody feels good from watching these people. Like watching people like Ben Shapiro. All you do is get angry. And
Yeah.
if you're not getting angry in the same way that he's angry, you're getting angry at him because he's a shitbag. Like
right.
it's
Absolutely.
and so all it does is divide people. and
Yeah.
and that's what this is why I call the Twitterverse and most social media, I and and mainstream cable news, I call it the toxic media, because that's exactly what it is. And these people are making small fortunes, and some of them large fortunes, on
Yeah.
this crap. And it's really just,
Right. I mean,
who's what regular person is actually outraged that Lizzo played this flute, which hasn't been played in 200 years? And okay, so we have a moment to actually hear what this thing sounds like.
so then the interesting thing about it, of course, is
Good
it
question.
has to be. We have to think about this in terms of what we were talking about earlier about how we plant these victory flags. So here are people being stupid who don't some of them at least don't realize that they're stupid. How do we counter that? How do
Oh,
we
I think
go ahead?
most of them do think that they're do what they're doing. I think a lot of people. I don't think Ben. I mean, I don't like Ben Shapiro, but I think he fully knows exactly what the hell he's doing.
Sorry, let me rephrase
And
that. I agree that Ben Shapiro, that the people up the top with the puppet strings, they know what they're doing, but the followers, the supporters, because those are the people who are the problem. Those are the people who are making democracy terrible. I mean, the worst form of government that we could have, except for all the other ones. How do we reach those people and say, look, the emperor has no clothes? This message of hate, of intolerance, of the fact that uh, a black woman playing a flute that was made for James Madison shouldn't be the thing that sends you into a tizzy. How do we reach these people? Because that's where I do start to really get depressed about what's happening. Because here we are, and we've all been in the fight for a long time, and something like this comes out, and this is immediately more popular than anything I have ever said. And I've been an advocate for liberty as long, well, not that long, but like 12 years. I've been pretty active. And suddenly this bullshit goes nationwide. And there's people donating money to stop Lizzo from playing a flute again.
And
Did she
I mean,
try and
really,
play it again?
I don't know. I mean, I would hope she would, because
yeah.
honestly, I will tell you, the sound was phenomenal. I was expecting it to be like out of tune. I don't know anything about flutes. I don't know if there's a benefit to making it out of crystal because it's a non-malleable material, and so it wouldn't get bent out of shape or aged or anything like that. But whatever it was, the tone was phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's an outgrowth of social media and how we're allowed to, and allowed is how we've chosen to kind of silo ourselves into, especially politically, into just these narrow silos of fairly uniform opinions, so that when Ben Shapiro at the top yells, and all of a sudden all your friends are sharing that Lizzo did this shitty thing, that's all you're seeing. And then you're going to react. And maybe somebody in your family that isn't, now they start sharing it. And that's how it permeates. Um, you know, the stupid thing is like 99.9% of the people would never have known that Lizzo played that flute if guys like Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, the kind of the hate purveyors start putting their shit out, then that's when people start screaming about it, and they amplified it far beyond where it ever would have gone. Nobody would have known about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one of Ben Shapiro's quotes about it was something saying like, "Come on, you know that you were doing this for attention," or something to that effect, basically. So you know what you did, and like, what did she do? Yes, it was a public appearance. She's a pop star. I mean, it's not like she's a nobody. She's a pop
Yeah.
star. She does things for attention. This is what, you know, and I'm sorry, Ben. She does things for the right kind of attention, not the wrong kind of attention. That's how you make your living. She's adding to our culture, not crapping all over it. Which I just I can't. He's trying to flip the script on it. Like, you know what you did. You're the one that's making a huge deal out of this.
Yeah.
All that she actually did was bring the flute to the center for a minute. How many of us have actually seen someone play the flute live? Like, not very many. I saw Ian Anderson at the Ryman and Lizzo. Ian Anderson and Lizzo. What a weird thing that they have in common. But how amazing is that? That's what should have been taken away from the entire situation.
Well, I didn't
Right.
even know that crystal flute existed and it was a
No, I didn't
private
either.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, so
No
to me,
idea.
that was pretty
Right.
cool. I was like, wow, that's neat.
I was
And
just amazed it didn't shatter. Like, to me, that's the thing with the crystal flute. Like, wouldn't
Right.
it, like, the vibrations cause it to shatter eventually? Like,
I
especially
don't
when it's
know. It's
old.
an amazing thing. I mean, if we're talking about flautists too, I think we got a shout out for Ron Burgundy. And
Jazz flautist.
however, yeah, it's just it is insane. And so I'm reading Matt Walsh's tweet about it, saying that Lizzo playing James Madison's flute was a form of racial retribution, according to the woke left. What does that even mean?
What does that? I don't know.
Is the flute like the equivalent of a drive-by?
Yeah, I mean, she's playing the flute to make up for slavery. And now we're
Like,
all
what?
How does that even?
it's insane. And
It's
so
like, so
yeah, right, exactly.
so the Library of Congress, right, has this in their possession, right? They
Yeah.
brought it out for a very short time to let her play it, and then they put it back in the vault. Like, what does that have to do with that?
And more than that, I mean, I think it's actually much more valuable as as an instrument being played. Our good friend Holly, her husband Randy is a professional cellist, and he was talking about the fact that the best instruments should be played all the time. And in fact, having listened to that, I persuaded my brother, who owns a violin that he doesn't play, but is a very nice instrument, to lend it to the local high school so that some kid there can now play on an expensive violin. That's what should be happening with these things about it. The idea that you're going to keep an instrument locked away so nobody can play it, what do you think it is?
Yeah, I mean, they've raised more awareness about this instrument now.
Yeah, so there are 20 of these flutes apparently in the museum now.
That's
James raises a great point. Jimmy Page guitar, right? You want to hear somebody play that stuff. Okay, you don't want it to be locked away.
Yeah.
If a tree falls in the wood, if a flute lives in a safe, does anybody hear it? No. All right, what's next on our list, Dave?
Let's see.
It was good.
Yeah, Ukraine. So this week in the Ukraine crisis, the Russians have been very active this week. They've decided to conscript fighting age men. Russian men have responded by torching military recruitment facilities all over the country, shooting recruiting officers. One guy actually set himself on fire and there's been a rash of suicides. Plus, there are lines to
that was a
every border.
freebasing accident. I'm sorry.
The number one searched for thing on Google in Russia was how to break your arm.
Yeah. Yeah. So the people are voting with their feet in this instance, and a few Molotov cocktails and a few bullets um, towards the Russian military recruiters. Eh, Couple that with uh, the annexation of four eastern Ukrainian provinces into Russia. I'm going to say that I'm personally annexing the four easternmost oblasts of Russia, the Russian Federation, for my own.
Mm.
Well,
Um,
sham referendum too, wasn't it? Wasn't there a sham
I'm not
referendum?
even holding a referendum. I'm just annexing them, and
Oh, yeah.
it's
Okay.
called Davetopia,
Yep.
and we'll have a party.
I
the
am
vodka you can
annexing
drink.
all of the zip code 90210.
Nice.
But so here's the thing. Then this is the part that's scary about it, is that Russian political and military doctrine has always said that they will use tactical nuclear weapons to defend Russian territory.
Oil. Yep.
And so now what they've done is they are declaring that this stuff is Russian territory, which I truly believe is a pretense to using tactical nuclear weapons.
And isn't it at the same time Ukraine is now on a fast track for NATO membership?
Yep.
So they applied for it. America has said, let's solve this first. Getting you a NATO membership doesn't make anything any better or any worse. But
well,
yeah,
it makes it where we would have to kind of intervene,
right. We would be
if we're
obligated
in
to send
NATO.
troops,
Although we
etc.
are intervening, let's not
Yeah,
sugarcoat
exactly.
it too much. We are
It would have to
intervening.
become from a little less passive to a little more active.
Right.
Yes.
And so there is, I'm in a strategy and tactics group where we were talking about this. There's a great article in the New Yorker that I would really recommend people read, of people who study how wars end. And there's a couple of really fascinating scenarios. For example, the war with Vietnam couldn't actually end until Ho Chi Minh died, because Ho Chi Minh was not prepared to accept really any form of surrender from the United States, any form of capitulation. And so that war continued longer than it had to. However, here, Putin's pretty healthy. He's not going to die. He seems to have his people well controlled. It seems unlikely that there could be a revolt against him, short of, really intervention and armament from Western countries. And so I putting my own doomsday clock significantly higher at this point in time. I think that there is a really good chance that the Russians will use tactical nuclear weapons to break the Ukrainian advance.
Well, and Putin was saying that the United States set the precedent for using
Yeah.
nuclear weapons back in World War II when
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
so as a pirate, I think the only right thing to do with somebody who is coming to conscript you is to shoot at them, at least, if not hit your target.
Yeah.
That's the only proper way to respond to that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's that's just slavery by another name, and
Yeah.
it's just and I think that that is the ultimate form of oppression, is slavery, and I think you should resist it with all of your might. And yeah,
But
so
the use of even tactical nuclear weapons in this case is fundamental. I mean, it's just the dumbest thing I could think of for Moscow. Just knowing the way that the winds work there. When Chernobyl happened, that stuff dragged over Moscow and actually kind of goes back towards Sweden. So some of the highest doses of radiation went over Moscow, then went back over Sweden and Western Europe.
So did the Ukraine retain any of the
No.
weapons?
So
They were tricked into giving them all up.
Okay.
So
All right.
the Russians said, if you give us your the nuclear weapons in Ukraine, we will agree to your territorial sovereignty. We'll see how that worked out. So
Yep.
yeah.
I wish they had consulted with the American Indians about
Yeah,
what
exactly.
happened.
I was just thinking that exactly. I was just thinking of that.
Yeah. So here's where it's going to get interesting is that what will the Western retaliation be for a tactical nuclear weapon being used? And let's assume, something small, but there is small tactical nuclear shells kill everybody within a 1 mile radius of detonation. That's disastrous. The speculations that I've seen is that the West would respond by destroying the Russian Black Sea fleet. That's a very easy thing to do militarily. But that then becomes a really big escalation.
Yeah. Now we're talking about, because Russia has considered that Crimean outpost theirs for a
Yep.
few years now, and
They
NATO
put-
attack on their territory kind of unleashes them, and who knows if Putin is mentally stable enough to, uh, show some restraint. I don't think he is, and
And so I don't know, but then I mean, what is then if you appease him, what does that get you?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I mean, if you let him keep these 4 territories, that doesn't make things any better either. But I think it's becoming clear to a lot of people that he is not going to achieve victory through conventional feat of arms.
No, he's
No, he's
no.
he can't muster I mean, that's the thing with this whole conscription. He doesn't have the manpower to do it.
Right.
And he's currently having just I wouldn't call it brain drain, but and to an extent it is, but it's a drain of people outside of the country.
So
now.
even if Putin is able to take everything he wants out of everything he wants of the Ukraine territory wise, how in the hell is he going to hold it with the level of things where things are at right now, where he's resorting to conscript troops? It's what really is, what is the true end game here? Like, what is he thinking? I mean, obviously we don't know, but I just don't get why at this point, he's had enough setbacks. I mean, is it really just trying to save face that I can conquer this country, that I am big, strong man, must conquer, like what?
I mean, his designs have always been to get the band back together as far as the
To
Soviet
reestablish
Union.
the Soviet Union.
But
the Russian Empire.
That's way too far gone. You're never getting the Baltics back. You're never going to get. I mean, even Kazakhstan probably wouldn't go back, or the other stans.
Yeah.
But you got to think that the Chinese have got to be looking at this, even though they're making nice with
Taiwan.
Russia.
Yep.
Well, they're thinking about Taiwan, but they're also saying, you know what? Eastern Russia has got a shit ton of resources, and we could invade Russia up to the Ural Mountains before they could even think, just with the sheer manpower that the Chinese army has. The only thing that evens things out is the nuclear weapon, but China could take and hold most of Eastern Russia all the way up to the Ural Mountains if they wanted to.
Boy, I don't know.
I don't think China is really allied with anybody but themselves at this point.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it is interesting too that I do think that if China, I think that if a tactical nuclear weapon were used, everybody would be united in denying the Russians. But then, what does that get us?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
The Russians can blow up at least the northern half of the globe fairly efficiently.
Yeah,
I don't know
will
how many
say-
weapons they have now, but
Yeah, I don't know what they have left. I don't know how. I mean, based on what I've seen of their military, I'm starting to think that their nuclear forces may be comparably terrible. Unfortunately, that's really dangerous thinking,
yeah,
right?
I mean, because you only need one, you only need a couple to get up. I know we have our SDI stuff, but just a few getting through.
Yep.
You know, let's say that even they're inaccurate. Let's say it hits like 70 miles to the west of New York City.
Let's say they hit
Render-
Manhattan.
Hey,
Kansas.
that's like right in my territory there.
Yeah, that renders the entire New York metro area almost uninhabitable for a number of years.
Yeah, I mean it is funny what we can actually live with, but I agree. No, I mean it's you're talking about a fundamental change to civilization.
So the other thing that we didn't talk about with what's going on with Russia is all of the mysterious deaths of the oligarchs
Yep.
that's happening. Like
The
this has
oligarchs
got to
who
be
oppose Putin.
tied in.
Yeah.
It's the ones
something
that aren't going to be 100% loyal. It's the ones that are showing a little bit of, hey, this is kind of stupid. We're wasting all our resources. I want to get my money from the United States because it's been taken up in sanctions, and there's no room for dissension now within Putin's ranks.
Right.
And that's what scares me about the whole nuclear thing, is that I was thinking maybe there's a general that's going to be brave enough, if the order starts to come down, to use the nukes, that he'll take Putin out himself. I don't think that there's a general left anymore that's going to do that. That has that.
I mean, if there is, it's going to have to be, somebody doing
suicide mission.
Exactly. Whatever was the plan, I can't remember it now. When they tried to kill Hitler, somebody who is going to try to save things like that. And I do think that Putin's death probably makes things a lot better. But holy shit! I mean, we live in this crazy time.
Hey, if you want to stay up till like 4 o'clock in the morning, there is on YouTube, there is a mock emergency broadcast alert for a nuclear strike on the United States. Watch that. That'll keep you up for a while.
Yeah.
I saw that TV show. It was called Jericho.
Oh, Jericho's a great show. I love that show.
I thought it was called The Day After.
Well, there's The Day After. There was America with a K.
Right.
Yeah, there's all kinds of great shows, but Jericho was an awesome show. I love that one.
Right.
All right. Well, Drew, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. Great to talk about the Pennsylvania Pirate Party and the Pirate Party in general. Let me throw the links. We got the Kentucky guys with the gentleman Ethan running for U.S. House. We've
Ethan
got
Osborne.
Pennsylvania Pirate Party. That's yours.
That is us.
And of course, the U.S. Pirate Party. So if you're so inclined and you're not in Pennsylvania or Kentucky, you want to join, just drop by the U.S. Pirate Party. Again, I'm very much in favor of, the collapse of the Libertarian Party. I think is cast seeds into the wind for many liberty-oriented organizations and parties. We've seen it, Keystone. We see it with the Pirate Party. We actually got information tonight that the Virginia is forming a Liberty Party. So I think that this is a good thing. This, from these seeds, many trees will grow to spread the message of liberty. So,
and one thing I will say is that we are very much willing to work with other parties that have similar values as the Pirate Party. And even if we don't, especially on things like ballot access and reforming reforming the system so that more third parties can have ballot access, especially. We are very much willing to work with just about anybody on that stuff. So, it doesn't have to be everybody do their own thing. We can join forces and put our heads together on certain things. So,
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks everyone for joining us tonight. Again, remember that we've got on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, click that little bell there to get reminders of whenever we're on, so that you can see what we're talking about. And we'll talk to everyone. Oh,
Share it out there, guys. Remember
yeah,
that we would like to see this reach more people. We want to spread the word, and it only happens if people share the content.
that's
So
right.
tag your friends when we say something you think is interesting. Share up the things, like, click, subscribe. We get monetized. This could become Dave's living. What you give is how he lives. He could have been your kid. Come on, people.
And final reminder: Thursday night we've got the Thursday night hockey show. Again, I'm going solo this season to talk about hockey, but join us on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. to talk hockey. One of my favorite things. So uh, on this same channel on YouTube. So anyway, thanks everyone for joining us this evening, and we will talk to everyone next week.